Do you believe in ghosts in this world? Welcome to Midnight Loft, folk horror stories. This world, there are always some phenomena that we cannot explain. They hide in dark corners, waiting for the ignorant to approach. Perhaps just to remind us of one thing. Don't forget to be in awe of the location. It's in Chikan, a small village in Kaohsiung, Taiwan. It happened once, a paranormal event that has been chilling to this day. His origin is a seemingly ordinary funeral, and the real scary after the burial. Strange things happened in the village, one after another, and the secret in that coffin. Today I will tell you about a true and terrifying story. Are you ready? A collision between the supernatural and the human. A story of awe and cost. Start now. The wind is humming, like an unfinished lamentation. Dark clouds roll in the gloomy sky, block the light of the sun completely. Bagua Mountain is like a sleeping beast, floating there quietly. The thick fog wrapped his body faintly. The cold wind blows through the towering ancient trees, send out low eaves, as if someone was crying in the dark. Roadside grass. It seems that every route is whispering in the wind, telling a secret that no one knows. Did you hear that? A mountain climber stands on the mountain path. He frowned and looked at his companion beside him. His voice trembled slightly with a silver meaning. What companions look around? I alert. The voice seemed to be whispering, like a cry. He finished. The whole person unconsciously shivered. The wind blows, blow the leaves, as if to cover up the faint sound. The land of Bagushin has never been calm. He was a witness to the war. It is also the burial place of the end of life. People are in awe and fear of him. His roster was passed from village to village, but always accompanied by a heavy sigh, day or night. There is always an indescribable unease, spread here, like some kind of force buried deep in the earth. Don't want to sleep. The rumors about Bagua Mountain have never stopped, and the most terrifying story is the story of the zombie. The land of Baguashan complains too much. The old Buddha in the unclean village, shaking his head and muttering to himself, eyes full of deep fear. Some people say that this land, stained with resentment because of war and death, even the king cannot rest in peace. They're stuck here, and they can't get around. Occasionally climb out of a deep grave, with Sister Wei's hatred and hunger instincts, wandering around. And here's what's even scarier. Many people claim that in certain corners of Bagua Mountain, I saw that creepy figure with my own eyes, stiff all over, pale face, eerily glowing in empty eye sockets. They move slowly, but with mortal danger. Once targeted, escape is almost hopeless. These rumors shrouded Bagua Mountain in a mysterious shadow. It also attracted many curious explorers, come to explore. But whether it is a young man born with a calf who is not afraid of tigers, still unbelieving foreign tourists, some of them have never been heard from again. The families of the missing inquire with grief from the villagers, but always in exchange for that muffled warning, don't look for it, can't find it. They were caught up in the mountains, and the fog got thicker. It was as if the light had been swallowed up. End of the road. A dilapidated temple stands still. The stone in front of the door is mottled, but with a heart-pounding prestige. The wind blows up the leaves, blow away, like invisible fingers, is leading people to the unknown abyss. Something is wrong here. Another tourist opened. He squeezed the flashlight in his hand. It seems that the light can dispel the unease in my heart. There we go. His companion gritted his teeth. Take a step back. This is not where we should be. But they never knew. I have broken in. Gossip. In the hidden veil of terror of the mountain. The woods behind. A pair of pale hands slowly stretched out from the soil, as if waiting for them to approach. The coastline at night, like a scar at the end of the earth. The tide comes in waves, flapping the black reef, make a low roar. The distant sea sky border, shrouded in thick darkness, only an occasional flash of lightning illuminate the shadows floating on the sea. That era, smuggling is the only way out in the eyes of many people. A rickety boat, struggling in the rough seas. The people on the boat huddled, despair written all over his face. Their breaths rise and fall with the waves, and intermittently, someone clutches the amulet in their hand, pray for a safe arrival. But the sea is ruthless. The wind carried the click of the boards breaking. With a shrill scream, the hull was torn to pieces in the waves. One by one, people were drawn into the icy abyss, covering hands struggling on the water, gradually disappear into the darkness. A few days later, their bodies were found on the beach, blistering skin, expansion. Faces are blurred, many hands clasped, still struggling before death. The corpse was walking on the beach, like a terrible exhibition, declaring their failed escape. At night, the beach starts to look different. Some villagers claim that the beach under the moonlight, you can always see blurry figures wandering around, dragging heavy feet, like looking for something. Others say they heard the whispers of the waves. The voice was low and hoarse. It feels like it's coming from another world. And here's the really chilling part. Someone witnessed a dissociative light floating on the beach. Gather where the dead are piled up, jumping like a ghost fire. The bodies were not properly disposed of. Some were buried by cow. Some are even directly discarded in wet sand. Someone starts whispering that the dead cannot rest in peace. Resentment became an immortal monster, wandering by the sea, looking for someone to replace them. And the grievances of Bago from a more tragic history. In 1895, the Japanese army with Bago, it became the main battlefield for the resistance to fight against the Japanese. This used to be a noisy place. Now there is only deathly silence. Imagine that. Drums of war, gunshots ripping through the sky. The cries of the remnants and defeated ancestors are intertwined. The soil is full of blood and water. Bright red soaks the foundations of the mountain. Let go of me. I'm not afraid of death. A young soldier was dragged into chaos, bloodshot eyes, but the next moment, the blade flashed across his head and rolled to the ground. Ningxi's eyes were still staring straight ahead. The bodies of countless soldiers were abandoned in the mountains, too late to bury. Birds and beasts gnaw, sun and wind, residual dust. The smell of blood lingers. For a long time, the people in the village are afraid of this land, dare not approach. Until a few years later, only the brave villagers have simple uses, burying these regrets. However, these unjust souls did not subside. It is rumored that, in the night of Bagua Mountain, you can often hear the cries of drops, like countless ghosts pouring out injustice. Occasionally, a hazy shadow appears in the dark, pale face, bloody eyes, staring blankly at passers-by. Some daring explorers claim they have seen dead people, a rigid corpse, slowly rise from the ground, hollow eyes, but with suffocating, resent for them standing still, until witnesses screamed and fled the scene. These horrific sightings adds a supernatural color to Bagua Mountain. It also provides the basis for zombie rumors, the grievances of the contrarian, and the ghosts of Bagua Mountain mass graves. It seems to merge under some kind of opportunity, become an inexplicable horror phenomenon. The locals used mountains to harvest people, to describe the missing climbers. They believe this land has been taken over by the Wraith, and everyone who comes near him will be dragged down the road of no return. In Bagua Mountain, the past and the present are never broken. Stories buried deep in the earth, like a heartless ghost, waiting for a new prey to meet. Chicken Village. This peaceful village is surrounded by green hills. When the morning light shines, the village looks peaceful. However, the beginning of that funeral, but it planted the seeds of unease here. That day, the oldest person in the village, Li Jaishank, passed away. Died in his 80s. He was hardworking and simple all his life. The most respected person in the village. The funeral was held in accordance with traditional customs. Paper money flying in the breeze. Gray smoke fills the morning hall. The smell of incense is mixed with an inexplicable dullness, crying one after another, but with an unnatural cacophony. Why is this fragrance so strong? A helpful village woman frowned, looking at the smoke floating not far away. The gray bamboo seems to be circling. Keep rising. Finally, it seems to transform into a blurry face, with a cold heart. The funeral lasted 3 days. Every day is shrouded in a strange atmosphere. The villagers whispered, but no one dared to speak out loud until the moment when the coffin is like soil. The faint yin rhyme like fire color temporarily dissipated. But this is just the beginning. Just a few days later, strange things happen in the village. A home in the new city. Dog died inexplicably, and the flocks of poultry died. Even the cattle and sheep in the village. Can't talk about it overnight. And here's what's even more terrifying. Relatives of the Lee family fell ill one after another. Sallow face. There seems to be a meaning hanging over their bodies. Did you hear that? Someone seemed to be crying last night. Neighboring villagers whisper. Not crying, I heard a low growl, like a beast. Another interrupted. His face is covered with peaking opera. Chicken Village during the day. The busy streets are now empty. The villagers didn't even dare to go out. At night, and the fear grew. The wind roars. Someone always hears muffled footsteps in the distance. Slow but heavy, as if something was dragging a tired body, wandering among the villages. The first eyewitness was an old farmer who got up early to plow the fields. When he passed Li Jaiheng's purpose, vaguely see a tall black shadow standing in front of the tombstone. The figure stood upright, neither man nor beast. The old farmer rubbed his eyes, thought it was an illusion. Just then, the shadow moved, slowly turned around, showing a pair of bright red eyes. Those eyes are not human eyes. The old farmer gasped for breath. Tell the villagers what you see. The red light is filled with violence and hunger, like looking for something. A deep roar sounded, threat like a beast, but mixed with an indescribable sadness. He is smiling. I swear I heard him laughing, another villager said. He passed the cemetery at midnight. See the total shadow standing in front of the grave, like a silent statue. These horrific sightings. It quickly spread through the village, like an invisible hunter, pushed the villagers' spirits to the brink of collapse. People are getting neurotic, behind closed windows. I can always see a few pairs of terrified eyes. Quiet hit. reverberating in the night air. Will he come to us? A little girl choked up and asked her mother. His voice is as soft as the wind. No, as long as you don't give in, he won't come, the mother reassured her daughter. He's shutting the doors and windows, but his palms were sweaty. The villagers began to suspect each other. Fear is no longer just from the black sheep, but the shadow from their hearts. Some even suspect. Did someone offend the deceased at the funeral? Li King could not rest in peace. Become an evil spirit. The wind continues to blow, mixed with the low rain of the night. The entire Chikan village, shrouded in an indescribable sense of suffocation. Everyone is waiting in silence. The next misfortune comes. He will be back. This idea is deeply ingrained in the hearts of the villagers. Every night, they all shivered in the dark, dare not make a sound, as if those red eyes were staring at them. Fear is like an invisible poison, spread in every corner of Chikan village. People are terrified. Ultimately, he pinned his hopes on the temple in the village. Mizu and the king of Guang's village worshipped in the temple. It is a beacon of faith in the hearts of the villagers. One morning, a pious old man knelt down in worship at Mizu, crying forward the horror of the village. Suddenly, the fire in the incense burner beats. The rising smoke hovered into the shape of a dragon and a phoenix. This impression shocked everyone in the temple. The gods are angry. Mizu passes the message through the chicken. Indicate that this is evil. Only dig the grave. Take care of the demon yourself. To quell evil. The break quickly spread through the village. The villagers traveled in fear. Expect the believers to gather in front of the temple, eyes full of longing and unease. Then King Hirazawa also appeared through the chicken. He said he would be invited together with Mizu. Let's solve this disaster together. God is lifted up. The solemn bell rings in the temple. The sound and drumming reverberated through the village, as if for the next ritual. God appeared. We'll be safe this time. Is it difficult for a village woman? Hands together. There are tears in the corners of my eyes. Switch day. The Church of God was carried to the front of the Li family's tomb. Surrounding villagers, Zuzu occupied a field. The Taoist priest with the magic weapon chanted a spell. Genesis in the religion is expressionless, but it revealed an unquestionable majesty. As the excavation begins, the whole cemetery is permeated with meaning. It was as if the air had frozen. The deeper you dig, the better, a local lord whispered. There was an undisguised tremor in his tone. He stopped the spade in his hand. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead with his sleeve. As the soil is opened little by little, a fishy smell slowly seeped out. Evil. The villagers held their breath. The heart is beating like a rib. Finally, the outline of the coffin was revealed. The black coffin was covered with mottled water stains. The boards screeched. It seems to be telling his years and secrets. Turn on and off the machine at the order of the child. The onlookers were so focused, for fear of alerting something terrible. When the coffin was pried open for an instant, a cold yin ki rushed towards him. It's involuntarily going backwards. The sight of Kanai made everyone's eyes widen. Li King's body was actually unscathed, although his skin is blue, but intact. It even exudes a weird sheen. And here's what's even more chilling. His mouth is slightly open, showing a few long fangs. The fangs are still stained with a substance similar to meat. This is not human. A young man. After pushing the words back, he slumped on the ground. The abdominal position of the corpse, faintly oozing dirty liquid. It smelled rancid and bloody. The onlookers couldn't take it anymore, fleeing the scene screaming, but more people will leave. It seems that this strange scene frightened out of action. Instead, he quickly lit the torch after a short trial. Throw a string of red spells into the pass. Flames rose quickly, the clothing that set the body on fire. The moment the flames started, a lifetime of piercing screams came from the coffin, like the roar of a dying beast, the unwilling wailing of affected souls. Onlookers cover their ears. Some even knelt down and wept on the spot. The flames are getting hotter and hotter. The corpse was gradually devoured. Disgusting black liquid, flowing out of the pass, soaked the soil of the cemetery. Li Jiaqing's face gradually twisted in the firelight, burnt fangs. It seems to be shaken unwillingly. It's safe. Instead, he shouted loudly, but there was also a tremor in his voice. However, even west of the flames, there is still a feeling in the crowd, lingering fear. The eyes of the villagers stayed on the coffin for a long time, on the remains of wood, as if there would be another hand at any moment, emerging from the ashes. After the switch ceremony, the village regained its calm, but every night, some people claim, weak cries were also heard near the cemetery. It seems to be telling unfinished resentment. Village elders warn future generations to remember to fear the king, even if their names have been forgotten after the flame goes out. Charred in the air, mixed with corruption, suffocating, although the body has been burned to ashes, but the fear in the hearts of the villagers did not dissipate. Instead, because of the shock of this ceremony, it's even more ingrained. These oddities can actually be explained. The village elders held a meeting after the event. Villagers meeting, trying to reassure the crowd. The elderly are over 70, often considered the most knowledgeable person in Chakan village. He answered slowly, "Corpses are not entirely incomprehensible. The coffin material is too sealed, prevent the entry of air and microorganisms, plus the moisture of the soil. Excessive salt will result in the body being well preserved." His voice was deep, but it's hard to hide the enormity in my heart. "What about the fangs and all that liquid?" someone in the crowd asked. There was disbelief in his tone. The elder pondered for a moment. "Say slowly, teeth may be growth abnormalities before tearing to death. Liquid may be residual wet water in the body," but he changed his style. Eyes swept over everyone. "If it's just a natural phenomenon, where do you think that sound came from?" The air suddenly solidified. Everybody went silent. The scream from the flames, still in my ears. Can't be explained rationally. Someone clutches the placket. Rationalize. Seems to be avoiding the fear inside, in order to remove the psychological shadow of the villagers. The village decided to convert the cemetery into a park, trying to make this a thing of the past. A few years later, the park was built, become a place for the daily activities of nearby residents. It's full of laughter during the day, children running and chasing, old men playing chess in the shade. But at night, the atmosphere of the park has suddenly changed. There are always passers-by who come home at night, claiming, "I saw a blurry figure under the faint street lamp, fleeting." Sometimes, there were faint whispers in the kite, like a call from another world. A night watchman was on duty. Hear a creak near an old tree, creaking sound. He shines a flashlight, but found nothing. But the next day, on the bark of that tree, there are some deep scratches, as if some kind of force found it. The land is still not clean. The elderly villagers shook their heads and sighed. Fire one. I don't know if there are any others. As time goes by, the ship that was destroyed by a line began to float. There are villagers talking in clever voices when they come out of the water. The funeral. Relatives of Legion accidentally knocked off the incense burner during burial. Ash spilled on the ground. It was considered disrespectful to the king. Some even speculate Li King may have suffered from the indifference of his relatives during his lifetime. Hold a grudge that leads to no rest after death. He may be waiting for those who have wronged him. An old man whispered, eyes are very big. This speculation let the villagers' fears be further exacerbated. All people related to Legion become more cautious. Afraid of yourself will be the next target. However, even so, those lip lines never stop. People can't shake the feeling. It doesn't seem to be over yet. One dark night, a young man passing by the park. I took a photo by chance. In the photo, a blurry white light floats on the grass, shaped like a human eye. The discovery set off another wave of panic, although many people have tried to explain it in terms of light refraction. But more people believe that's Li Jiaqing's resentment still lingering. The story seems to have come to an end here, but leave it to everyone. Listen to a disturbing question from the person who kissed him. The undiscovered evil spirits, is it still hidden in a dark corner, waiting for the next sacrifice? Fear the king. Respect for tradition. This is the advice of the elders. But he's like a wake-up call every night. It reminds people some forces are not so easy to quell. The wind blows through the old trees in the park. The leaves rustle like some kind of whispers of the dead. The story of Chicken Village, finally, it has become an indelible memory in people's hearts. They have also become villagers for generations. Lessons passed down by word of mouth. After the Li King incident, no similar paranormal phenomenon has occurred in the village again. But the hearts of the villagers, there was an unquenchable awe, respect for the deceased. It's not optional. An elderly villager sits in the park cafeteria. Deep tone. You can't see them, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. His eyes were half closed. It seems that I can still feel the land. Buried repression and power. Science can explain part of the unknown, but I can't answer all the questions. This makes people aware of some phenomena go beyond the realm of reason, beyond the boundaries of human cognition. It's the power of nature. It's an unresolved grievance. Or is it some ancient law that governs reverence for the unknown? It has become a subconscious in the lives of the villagers. They treat every funeral with care. Sacrifices strictly observe ancient rituals and customs. Every time the incense is ignited, every piece of paper money that floats, it's all respect for the king. It is also for some. There are many things in this world that we don't need to understand. Just respect, the old man said to the young man. There is a trace of complex emotions in his eyes. It was a profound awe after experiencing the unknown. I don't want to experience it for future generations. The same deep concern of fear. Many years later, the place that was converted into a park. It has become an important public space in Chikan Village. Qingming Festival every year. There's always smoke in the park. It was a collective sacrifice of the villagers. Pay tribute to Wang Ling, who is buried here. A group of children run around the old tree. Their laughter was crisp, but always pointed out by parents. Don't stay under that tree for too long. The children looked at the adults reluctantly, but because I feel that I have torn up a sense of oppression, A young mother stopped in her tracks, looking at the ground under the old tree. Eyes are erratic. "Do you believe in those things?" he whispered to his husband beside him. "It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not." The husband sighed. "The important thing is not to offend." On a bench not far away, several elderly people from the village sat together. They whispered about the past. Sometimes they are silent. "It seems to be a memory that I don't want to bring up again," suddenly came to mind. 10,000 years burning the corpse. An old man finally broke down. "Concubine, do you remember the wind that day? It's sunny. Suddenly it's cloudy, and that scream." The other person takes over. The voice is almost inaudible. It's not a sound that people can make. Fear and relief were in their eyes, as if confirming some deep-seated horror. "And I'm glad it didn't happen again. The younger generation is not far away. Listen quietly to these past events, although not experienced. But I still feel a deep awe and awakening." Dusk. The lights of the built park are on one by one. The shadow of the tree pulls out long black sheep on the ground. Occasionally, the wind blows, between the leaves swaying, as if you can see blurry figures piercing through it. "Let's go. It's getting dark." A young man took a friend's hand and urged, "What are you afraid of? How lively the park is during the day. What else can we do at night?" Another laughed and said, "Easy tone," but unconsciously accelerated the pace. When they left, never noticed, in the shadow of an old tree, it seems to have a pair of blurry eyes, staring at their backs. The wind blows with a low sound, like the rustling of leaves, but it's like someone is whispering, "Don't forget to be in awe." Nightfall. The park is once again quiet, but in this tranquility, but always with an indescribable sense of oppression. Chicken Village at the foot of Bagua Mountain. It's not just the remains of the royal mausoleum that are buried, and the unsolved mysteries.